in okay. So Alhamdulillah, I see that we have quite a number of students already joining us. So Alhamdulillah for that. So inshallah, so for this evening, we are fortunate enough to be given a talk, a sharing by one of our own FKAB uh, FKAB lecturer. So PM Dr. Mokhzaini is uh, generous enough to give this sharing with us today. So usually, so this for this session is JENDELA FKAB. The title is The Art of Thesis Writing. So we have organized this session especially for students, uh, especially for students from FKAB. But then we are also welcome, and we have shared regarding this talk to all the postgrad students with the other faculties as well. So maybe we will have some visitors from other faculties too. So see how it goes. So before I pass the session to Dr. Mokhzaini, I would like to give a little bit of introduction about our speaker today. Okay, so our speaker for this evening is Associate Prof. IRTS Dr. Muhammad Mokhzaini Azizan. So, Dr. Mokhzaini have received his Bachelor of Engineering degree in Engineering from University Technical Malaysia, UTEM, in 2006, with a focus on electrical engineering and industrial power. And then later on a Master of Science degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering, and then afterwards a PhD degree from University of Science Malaysia USM in 2009 to 2013 respectively. So he just recently joined us. So he is now serving as an associate prof in electrical and electronic engineering for FKAB in USIM. And then his research interests include power systems and power quality, transformer design, renewable energy technologies, so as well as wireless power transfer and energy conversion. So we have invited him today because Dr. Mokhzaini have a very deep knowledge about postgraduate supervision. He has quite a number of postgraduate students graduated under his supervision. So we are very fortunate to have him to give this short sharing lah on the art of thesis writing. So we hope all the students enjoy the talk and then can benefit a lot from what he will be sharing. So I think that's all from me. I will pass to PM Dr. Mokhzaini lah for him to continue his talk.
Okay, thank you very much for a very kind introduction. Apa nama Dr. Azhani? I would like to start with a sound check and also a monitor check. Whether you guys can hear me well, my voice can hear my voice well, and also can see my slide well. Okay, nampak lah semua everything okay Okay, first of all, before I start, a bit of ground rule for everyone. Allow me to address all of you, regardless of whether you are a student or staff. I would like to address you, Mr. and Mrs. Tuan Puan and everything. That's number one. Number two, allow me to use, because I see from the teams, the audience is mostly locals, right? Let me check again. Okay, from my list, there is locals. There are a lot of locals. So allow me again to deliver this talk in bahasa. Okay, for me, dalam bahasa Melayu and bahasa Inggeris, it doesn't matter lah somehow. But never mind, we'll interject in bahasa Melayu and bahasa Inggeris because some of the terms tu dalam bahasa Melayunya saya tak tahu. Tapi dalam bahasa Inggerisnya mungkin lebih senang lah sebab kita banyak delivery ataupun bercakap dalam bahasa English. Because another reason is that, walaupun bahasa itu penting, tetapi mengikut pandangan saya, hati dalam bahasa Melayu ini dinamakan sebagai hati lah. Okay, it's a heart. Tapi in Italian we call it cuore. Okay, cuore with the U, a long U, cuore. Okay, in Italian the hati is called cuore. In German they call it das Herz. Okay, in German it's called das Herz. I itu kita pakai I yang lagi satu. I kan ada dua, dan I, kan. Pakai yang tu. Das Herz. In Spanish, hati dipanggil sebagai corazón, okay. In Portuguese, I think sama je lah, hati, corazón, sama lebih kurang. Of course, in Arabic, hati kita panggil qalbun, okay, qalbun. My point is that doesn't matter what language you refer to, the content remains. Okay, the content remains. Of course, di dalam bahasa Melayu kita panggil sebagai hati lah. So if you are Spanish doctor, buat operation membelah hati, for example, you refer hati as a corazón. Okay, so allow me to have these two ground rules before we start. Okay, this is a bit of my short biography, like Dr. Azhani said. Saya berpindah ke Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia pada Februari. Saya bermula 1 Mac 2021 tahun ini. Ini kalau ikutnya saya baru 6 bulan, baru masuk bulan ke-6 di USIM. Sebelum itu saya bertugas sebagai pensyarah di Universiti Malaysia Perlis. Bermula daripada 2013 sehingga ke 2021. Okay. So nama saya, yang atas kali itu nama saya Muhammad Mokhzaini bin Azizan. Saya sebenarnya kalau tuan-tuan dan perempuan dengar saya punya telo suara tu macam orang Kedah lah. Betul lah, saya orang Kedah, saya orang Utara. Saya orang Kedah. More specifically, saya kampung arwah ayah saya, mak saya masih lagi ada di Gua Cepedak. Okay, Gua Cepedak ni dekat dengan Gurun. Gurun a bit famous lah sekarang ni, sejak kebelakangan ni agak famous for a very disastrous reason lah. Ada dekat Gunung Jerai tu ada kepala air kan, ada peristiwa kepala air. It's not something that we proud of, but then it highlights Gurun in a way lah. So semua orang tahu di mana Gurun sekarang, di mana Gunung Jerai dan sebagainya. Academic qualification, macam Dr. Azhani said just now, I obtained my PhD and Masters from University Science Malaysia pada 2013 dan 2009 respectively. I received my Bachelor of Engineering from KUTKM. Actually, KUTKM is the college university, namanya sebelum UTM lah. Nama sebelum dia jadi Universiti Teknikal Malaysia Melaka, namanya adalah College Universiti Teknikal Malaysia Melaka. Saya adalah produk kedua selepas ada satu tahun lah, we are the second batch. Alright, area of expertise, my area of expertise, power system engineering and systems. So anything related to power system, electrical, power quality, renewable energy, green technology, all belongs under what I used to do lah. I'm still doing. Recently, I just venture into AI. I'm learning my trades in AI. I take up AI optimization, do some imaging work, in try to explore more field in engineering lah, dan juga industrial optimization or industrial AI. I like to work more with industrial because when your work is being accepted by industrial, that means you're doing something useful. I'm not saying that if they don't accept, your work is not useful, but then it give me kepuasan bekerja bila kita tengok hasil kerja kita tu diguna pakai oleh orang, terutamanya industri lah. Okay. And also I have some good experience in wireless power transfer in terms of, more specifically in terms of energy security lah, energy security. These are my contact particulars. Okay, you can go, you can snapshot or you can print screen this papara lah if you like. Okay, a bit of myself juga. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself lah to the students, to the staff. If staff ada di dalam talk ini, if staff ada, I would like to introduce myself juga. Yang atas kiri itu, on top left, is my research focus, power system, renewable energy, industrial engineering. Like I said, I recently go into AI, imaging, optimization, try to learn some things there, because this AI, imaging, and also optimization can give you a better perspective, a different perspective in dealing with the traditional research focus lah, contohnya power system dan juga renewable energy. Because bila kita ada AI, kita ada all this new stuff, we can use data, we can use any information that we have in other fields, so that it will become a transdiscipline research somehow. All right. On the right, on the top right is my graduated postgraduate students lah. Because I've been working for coming to 8 or 9 years, so obviously alhamdulillah lah, banyak lah juga student yang ada membuat postgraduate study under my supervision. Di UNIMAP pun dia one of the factor that makes UNIMAP ni preferred ialah a few things lah. Yurannya tak begitu mahal dulunya yurannya tak begitu mahal, so you can complete like a semester, not much. I cannot remember, but not much. Pun dia ada juga a special package untuk industrial people. Kalau nak buat masters or PhD, there is what we call special price lah, special arrangement untuk industrial punya people. If not mistaken, all my students yang graduated ni yang fresh hanya 6 atau 5 orang je. The rest of 15 tu semuanya industrial ataupun yang dah pernah kerja lah, yang pernah kerja. Okay, for example, kalau IR Azharuddin Mokhzaini ni, he is a professional engineer lah. Now he's working in UPNM. So we still keep in touch with the students and everything. Izian pun, Siti Izian Mokhzaini ni is a staff from Sony. Kalau tengok graduated postgraduate students ni, Siti Izian ni staff Sony Penang lah, Sony Penang. Hazwani Hussein ni staff now I forgot what her company is, but he also from Prai. Nick Ahmad Kamil, okay, that one itulah fresh grad lah. Zaidun Walid Jawad, orang luar di Iraq, but he also a lecturer. It's not it's not fresh grad. Ada juga yang saya tak sempat masukkan di sini adalah examiners, external examiners. I've been to UTM, I've been to UPNM, I've been to of course lah UNIMAP. I'm going to Pahang for examiner punya. I'm going to examine thesis budak PhD Pahang, UMP Pahang. I'm going to 2 others, Terengganu UMT, another master student, and also I'm going back to UTM for another PhD punya thesis lah. So alhamdulillah, during my years dekat UNIMAP ni, a lot of good openings, good opportunity lah coming, and I'm expecting more from USIM lah. I'm going to do better in USIM. I'm going to generate more opportunities in USIM. Di bawah ni juga ada a list of publications selected. These are all 2021 lah. I would say to 2021 punya papers. Alhamdulillah, again, despite all the despite all the challenges, COVID dan sebagainya, 2021 is a very good year. It's a very good year in terms of publication, alhamdulillah. All right. A bit more about myself. This some pictures lah. You can just enjoy the pictures lah. These are all my pictures during my various involvement during my years before coming to SIM. On the right hand side, sorry, on the left hand side, the top one, that's me with my mates. 25 of us for the KPT punya apa nama program dengan arwah muzik tengah tu lah. Ya, Al-Fatihah tu arwah muzik. Yang atas tengah ni accreditation visit, EAD punya accreditation visit. I'm also a program. A program examiner. Itu kita post 6 tahun tu. Kalau tengok, you look close to my hands, is 6 years punya sign. Actually, this is not important, but then it just share with you. Every time we went to accreditation, they like to ask for 6 years punya post. So 6 years mean full accreditation lah. So just we as a panel we just post lah, tak ada masalah. But we didn't promise anything. They just a posing of a picture je. Yang atas kanan tu, I was with my mates and also Prof. Badli Shah, Vice Chancellor of UNIMAP during Pecipta 2019. Alhamdulillah, our product got gold medal there and also special award. Alhamdulillah. Bawah kiri tu energy audit work, my work at the klinik kesihatan Kok Diang. Yes, we did some field work. Energy audit is becoming very very serious work now. A new interest point, because everyone want to save energy. So the first thing of saving energy, what they have to do is you have to know what kind of energy you're using. So that's where energy auditing comes into place. You have to know, macam kesihatan lah juga, you kena periksa lah, you darah tinggi ke, you apa ke, then only you can take what kind of ubat that you want to use. The same with energy audit, alright? Bawah tengah tu is Azalia promotional shoot. We did some work with anak-anak yatim. Okay, anak-anak yatim dengan pakai geran Motorola, international geran Motorola, untuk memperkasakan pendidikan anak yatim. Apa yang kita buat ialah kita mendedahkan selama 1 tahun berkenaan dengan STEM, Science, Technology and Mathematics. Okay, engineering dan juga matematik. So kita dapat kerjasama yang cukup baik daripada wilayah persekutuan punya rumah anak-anak yatim. We go there and we did like a year of worth of program, and alhamdulillah lah, all those anak-anak yatim tu underprivileged, I would say underprivileged. We share everything about STEM with them. Bawah kanan ni adalah screw pump training. Okay, I also involved with industrial about training and also about some design work. Training ni selalunya bila kita hand over project, kita selalu buat training. Okay, kita selalu buat training. I did some work with a company involved in Jabatan Peparitan dan Saliran, JPS. It's a screw pump lah. Screw pump is something that you lajukan air ataupun you kosongkan air lah. Okay, some more gambar. You can still, you bear with me. They just gambar saja. This is a prelude to the talk we have today. Atas kiri itu adalah Kamboja mission. I did some work with HEPA, Hal Ehwal Pelajar. I was Timbalan Dekan HEPA last time in UNIMAP. We did some international work with our partners in Kamboja, in Indonesia, in regions that we can reach here. Okay, in regions we can reach here. Alright, misi Kembara Kamboja we call it, and also the middle center up. TUSB AIU ICT project. I also was the chief operating officer of the university company. Okay, it's being it is owned by the University Holdings. Okay, atas kanan ialah external examiner dekat UTM lah. External examiner dekat UTM untuk student masters, if not mistaken here. Her title was something to do with energy security. A very good research, I would say, and a very good thesis. I have to comment. I believe this is the best thesis I've ever examined over 9 years of experience lah. Bawah kiri tu, we did some journal writing workshop in Indonesia and also in Thailand. Kalau kita pergi ke institusi di luar-luar ni, we try to go for networking and also sharing here and there. We need to know people. We cannot do things in silo. It would be good if we have partners. We have to have partners. We need to have partners, but then kita tidak boleh lah kalau tak ada partners kita tak buat kerja. We need to have partners so that we have more opportunities. We can work together. We can help community there and there. So that one we did with Institute Teknologi Medan, ITM. Okay, during that time Medan ke Penang is about 45 minutes je, lagi cepat daripada Alostar ke KL. Alostar ke KL flight is 1 hour, 1 hour 15. Medan Penang 45 minutes. Kita naik Sriwijaya Air tu 45 minit sampai. Okay, bawah kat tengah tu is a convo day lah. One of my student, postgraduate student yang convo during during convocation UNIMEP. And also I am an active member of ASA lah, Science Kedah All Boys Association. I'm the head of penghulu. Kita ada lebih kurang 38 or 39 years of quite a lot of penghulu lah. Okay, and we also celebrating Jubilee Emas. I think 50 years lah Jubilee Emas 2023 nanti. Okay, this is a bit of my pillars of support. I would say pillars of support lah. This is me and my wife dekat a student dinner or something. On the left top tu, tengah tu, atas tu, me and my wife and also Kalila, my child, Mariam Kalila. We went to Lithuania. Never in my life I want to go to Lithuania, but then we went there for a talk and also a networking and also a holiday lah. Okay, also holiday. Bawah tengah tu we were in China also for a work and holiday, and belah kanan ni the recent picture lah, me, my wife Mariam Kalila, the one that celebrating 4 tahun, and also in my clutch tu, in masa my dukung tu is my other child lah, Khalil. Khalil pula dah. Kalau my wife tahu ni susah. Yalah. Okay. So 4 of us. Okay, so now we come to our discussion. That's why I said to you, this is going to be a very leisure talk. I'm not going to go very deep about the art of thesis writing, because art of thesis writing is something that it requires more than an hour or an hour and a half lah. You have to join my research methodology punya class lah this sem. The coming sem. The coming sem ni I'm going to teach RMDA. Siapa-siapa yang nak ambil RMDA, please welcome to join us. Siapa yang nak ambil lagi pun boleh. I tak tahulah di sini boleh ambil 2 kali ke tak, tapi my point is you need to have more than one hour untuk belajar the art of thesis writing. Instead I'm going to share you some key points and also some myth berkenaan dengan thesis writing. Okay, thesis writing. Some of the key points ni sometimes ataupun myth ni sometimes kita buat tu without we knowing it, without we realizing it, But then it happens and the consequences tu agak terrible lah. The consequences were very terrible. I'm going to speak from a supervisor point of view and also an examiner point of view. Alright. So another scope of discussion today ialah we will try to look at some other usual doings by candidates. Apa yang selalunya candidates buat tapi dia tidak apa nama dia tidak sedar. Okay. So that's why you know, my thought is that I will want to bring you the future so that most of the students won't do the same mistake and again and again and again. We need to have a progression. You know, our tamadun, our civilization need to have apa nama, an improvement. Kalau kita tak sedar benda ni, and then we keep doing on, tahun ini orang tu buat yang sama, tahun depan buat yang sama, dalam masa 10 tahun lagi kesalahan yang sama buat, we won't progress much. So that's why I wanted to bring the future to you now. You eliminate this mistakes and you will do a good practice, you know, hoping that your generation will do better cara dan sebagainya. Okay, before we start, a bit of introduction. What is a thesis actually? What is a thesis? Okay, I put here, you know, the definition of a thesis is semua orang tahulah. Okay, it is a combination of almost 4 or 5 chapters. Some university got 6 and 7 chapters. Bezanya adalah chapter metodologi. Dia pecahkan metodologi kepada 2. Satu metodologi, satu lagi adalah Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Modeling, modeling. Dia ada pecah 2. That's why some of the format tu dia ada 6 chapters, some ada yang ke-7. 7 tu I forgot satu lagi. Saya ingat tadi tapi sekarang saya lupa. Tapi tak apa, saya akan bagi tahu kalau saya ingat. You know, but the point is a thesis usually ada 4, 5, 6 atau 7 chapters lah. Okay, that answers the research question. Dalam research question ni di luar orang panggil research questions. Di dalam Malaysia banyaknya kita cakap berkenaan dengan problem statement. Okay, problem statement and also and accept or reject the hypothesis. Of course, kita ada hypothesis. Okay, kalau kita tak tulis pun kita tahu hypothesis tu dalam in our mind lah. So usually hypothesis ni kita letak dalam kita punya problem statement lah ataupun dalam introduction dan sebagainya. A thesis also finds the result based on research. Ini adalah definition of thesis as semua orang tahu. Okay, ada semua orang tahu. Okay, but actually a thesis is in another dimension of definition. A thesis is a living document lah. Cuba you tengok belah kiri sekarang. Of course, you know, thesis is a living document lah. Okay, makna kata dokumen itu tidak lapuk di telan masa, akan berterusan kekal sehingga bukan akhir hayat anda, tetapi selamanya. Okay, selamanya. So that's why a thesis must be in a very good and also a very, I would say a very approved punya version. Alright, so bila kita buat PhD atau kita buat master, selalunya kita buat dalam masa orang utaranya orang panggil halai balai. Ataupun kita buat undergraduate, kita buat thesis pun kita buat halai balai, kita buat kisah tak kisah aja. Tapi actually this is a living document. For undergraduates, we will carry that thesis to minta kerja, for example. If you're doing your masters also, you're going to do, you know, you're going to carry your master thesis for job application. People akan baca your thesis and do evaluation whether the research is good or not good, or work is being done enough or not enough. So that's why it's very important for us to have a very good thesis. It's a living document. Okay, number 2, it is a technical writing. Okay, I'm talking, of course, my background is engineering. I think it's the same for every field. It's the same, more or less the same with every field: architecture, social science, pure science, engineering, arts, language, everything. Okay, it is technical writing. Like now, number 3 is has sections, chapters, topic as the definition on your right. You know, and also differentiating each other, one another. All right. It is based on research conducted. It contents include mathematical proof. Okay, for engineering, it is very important that your thesis can stand on its own. Okay, kalau saya boleh share, banyak pensyarah ataupun banyak apa nama pelajar, bukan di sini lah, bukan di sini, saya tak sempat nak tengok di sini macam mana, saya baru 6 bulan. Tapi di luar sana, dia punya thesis tu, dia suka sandarkan kepada prototype. Dia suka sandarkan kepada something existing. This is not correct. To me, this is bid'ah lah. Bid'ah pula dah. But then, like my point is, number 5 thesis has to stand on its own. Every equation matters. Every statement matters. It has to stand on mathematical grounds. Dia kena ada, when you do your mathematics doesn't lie. So that's why, dalam all some of the Nobel laureate punya winners, they say mathematics is the kings of ilmu, the kings of knowledge, because mathematics doesn't lie. Kita boleh kira berapa laju signboard lari dengan menggunakan mathematics, and mathematics will prove as exactly as it is. So that's why your thesis has to stand on its own. Cara mana? Cara mathematics. Okay, number 6, it answers curiosity by hypothesis. Printed certified knowledge proof belong to author solely. And the last thing, thesis is something that it has to be a proof. It has to be a proof through a presentation, through a viva, to a certified panel of evaluators. Okay, dalam Malaysia ni kita ada viva voce lah, viva voce. Tapi di luar pun ada viva voce. Ada setengah-setengah universiti dia boleh pass a thesis through publication. But then still, it has to be approved, it has to be passed. Kalau sesuatu karangan tu, if your thesis is not passed, then it's not considered a thesis. This is a draft. This is something that you cannot say it is a thesis. This is, a pile of paper, a pile of research and anything. But a thesis has to be approved. A thesis has to be approved to be certified. Okay, art of thesis writing. Ada setengah-setengah di kalangan kita panggil, is this a thesis or dissertation? As a thesis or dissertation, terpulang. As a general, of course, thesis ada definition nya sendiri. Dissertation is, we have some kind of dissertation lah. Saya letak di situ apakah definisi thesis daripada Oxford Engineering Dictionary and also Collins English Dictionary, and also dissertation punya definition lah, definisi dissertation, definisi of thesis. But if you want to know, okay, never mind, be my guest and have a look at the definition. But I'm not going to go there. To me, dissertation and thesis, from our point of view, or simplistic point of view, is that it's all the same lah. It is technical writing. This is something that you have to pass. This is contains of proof of hypothesis, everything. Like we discussed just now. Whether you are from bachelor degree or master degree or doctor degree, a thesis or a dissertation or final year report, final year report, for example, it refer to the same thing. Okay, it refer to the same thing. But of course, bila kita pergi ke US ataupun ke UK, dia punya definition tu agak berbeza. But then it is good ataupun enough for us to know a thesis and dissertation function the same. Beza antara, okay, another thing is beza antara bachelor degree, master degree and doctorate degree punya thesis is the depth. Okay, it is the kedalaman. Kalau bachelor degree, you can do a very surface punya work. Master degree, it goes a bit deeper. Doctorate degree, it goes big deeper. You cannot go horizontal, but you go vertical. You go deep. Alright. Ini pun saya rasa as an introduction semua orang tahu, structure of thesis writing, semuanya tahulah dia ada page, title page, declaration, acknowledgement, discussion, etc. I just try to brief you again, just in case you you guys just to fill your time, just in case you tak aware, ataupun for those yang still in the nurturing years, yang awal-awal lagi ni, itulah. The thesis ada beberapa content yang you need to you need to do lah, but then it depends on the format of the university. It depends to the format of the program owner, for example. Okay, a bit of another definition is about literature review. You can read more lah about this. I'm not going to go every chapter, but then I just briefly explain to you what content, what it should be done and everything. My point is, that this talk ni, we're going to focus more on the 3 key points and also the 3 myths and also the usual doing by the students and itu. That one I want to go deep a bit on that. Literature review, why it is important to scientific research. Of course, I know for a degree level, for a master level, or for the PhD level, one way to know the depth, kedalaman of the kajian is through the literature review. Okay, the examiner will have a look at your literature review, and that's where the decisions of your viva tu will be refer off lah, will be based on. Okay, kalau bachelor degree kita tidak begitu menekankan lah berapa kritik, betapa kritikalnya kritik itu. For master level pun sama, but then for PhD, I would recommend you to do a very thorough literature review lah, very thorough literature review. Kalau for some people they like to ask how many papers you want to review, for example. There are so many people, there are so many kind of people, there are so many type of people trying to gauge, what is enough, how much is enough. I cannot put a number lah on how many article you want to review, because for so many reasons, stating the number tu tidak menyelesaikan masalah. For example, if I say 100 pun, tapi dia punya kritik tu tidak begitu critical, dia punya review tu tak begitu critical, then it will be a waste of time. It's better ada 50 literature review tapi a very kritik ataupun review yang begitu kritik. Okay, then 100 artikel with a very leisure punya kritik, very leisure punya review. But then rule of thumb is 75 to 150. There will be a good measure. This is just rule of thumb. Okay, this is just rule of thumb. I'm not stating any number. But what more important is the depth of knowledge. So literature review chapter nombor 2 ni selalunya chapter nombor 2 lah. Literature review chapter nombor 2. The depth of knowledge tu is very important. Kalau tuan-tuan dan perempuan pernah mengikuti Osman Talib punya session, dia like to say something about gap, knowledge gap. All those sama lah. All those agreed that a gap is something that we look for. A gap juga contribute to novelty, for example. Alright. So all those terminology are all very important, all agreed by everyone lah. Alright, literature review process bolehlah tengok dan sebagainya. I just brief again to all of you lah. Again, we go to method chapter nombor 3, methodology. Usually, what the students always do is they make everything in methodology. This is problematic juga lah. As an examiner, we would like to see chapter nombor 3 ni, chapter methodology ni is everything that you do to get the result in chapter nombor 4. You don't have to put any teori, you don't have to put any hypothesis, anything, tak payah. Another thing yang students would like to do dalam chapter methodology ni, dia suka buat research flowchart. research flowchart ni berbeza dengan technical flowchart. Research flowchart ni selalunya student biasalah student bukan di sini, di luar lah. Dia ada start, and then dia ada do literature review, and then do experiment, and then a very general and also not informative at all punya flowchart. You have to do away with that. You need to put a technical flowchart. Kena ada technical flowchart dalam metodologi ni. You have to explain from A to B to C to D to E. Dia punya step of experiment, for example. Macam tu lah. Okay. I include jugalah do and don'ts ni kat sini. Research method, characterize the applied technique, scientific approach, etc. etc. Yeah. Those are the things that we look into a methodology punya research lah. The don'ts, exhaustive review of methodologies. This one should be chapter nombor 2. Okay. Chapter nombor 2. Okay. Long description of tools and equipment. Usually banyak jugalah case-case yang long description ni an issue lah. It's an issue. Okay. It's not needed. Chapter 2 pun tak perlu, chapter 3 pun tak perlu. You don't have to describe the tools and equipment. You just bagi tahu ini yang kita guna, meter ini yang kita guna. This is the specification, that's it. And raw data description, raw data you have to go to chapter 4. You don't need to do that. Okay, chapter 4, again, how to write a research section for a dissertation ataupun thesis. Remember, I put there as a warning, all the results obtained by specific methods. Okay, you have to include results sahaja lah. Okay, results sahaja. Ensure you have mentioned all the pertinent method. Remember, each method should lead to some results. So makna kata kalaulah dalam chapter 3 metodologi tu you kata method A for method A, and then result pun mesti ada method A punya result lah. Ada A, B, C, D, E punya method, maksudnya ada A, B, C, D, E punya results dan sebagainya. The same. Dia chapter 3, chapter 4 ni dia twin. Selalunya kita tengok chapter 3 dengan chapter 4 ni, kalaulah chapter 4 tu ada something yang tak ada dekat chapter 3, memang kita kena tambah lah. Tiba-tiba ada result yang tak ada method. Contohnya, so you need to add method. Tiba-tiba ada teknik tapi tak ada result, for example. You have to add your results. Sebagainya. A bit of top tip, sum up the results by referring the tables and chart to support your statement. Usually selalunya kesalahan pelajar ataupun kesalahan kandidat ialah dia letak argument dulu daripada table. It's quite hard lah. Patutnya diagram dulu, result dulu, and then discussion di bawah. And then you call it again. Another frequent issue ialah, dia punya table tu berada 3 atau 4 muka surat di belakang ataupun ke hadapan. So jenuh sikit nak refer dan sebagainya. Dr. Azhani, kalau ada some of the students that not local, just let me know. I cannot see the attendance. I have to revert back to English. Kalau ada lah, kalau ada. If not, then I continue with mixed language here.
Saya nampak there's a few nama yang macam international sikit ni, Dr. Mo.
Ya kak, okay. Sorry, I have to, sorry audience, I have to go back to revert to full English. I'm sorry because, if we keep talking in by language, it's going to be a waste of time for our international students. Sorry. Okay, we are in the middle of discussing briefly introducing the chapters in the thesis. Okay, again, like I said to you, you have to sum up the results by referring to the table. The most common mistake is the student would do the discussion first, then the table comes. Discussion and then only diagram, discussion then only the results. It is the other way around. You have to mention the results and then you call the table and then you discuss. So this is how you do a good, result section or result chapter in your chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4. Of course, the last one is the summarization of thesis. The best is you describe the achievement of the objective that you set in your chapter 1. Okay, I would instruct my all students to do so. You know, you have a conclusion that you're going to answer back every objective in your chapter 1. I've did with all 15 of my students. Okay, they have to, you know, refer back to chapter 1, then they draw their conclusion. You know, and also in summarizing the achievement of the objective, they would have to tell what the result of the objective A, result of the objective B, and also result of the objective C, if we have A, B, C of objective, right? And also maybe a bit, add a bit on the methods that you use to achieve the objective 1. Right, those we just brief through chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3, 4, and 5, just to, you know, to brief a bit on the contents of a dissertation. Like I said to you, some formats have 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 chapters. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. It depends on the format of the university. It depends on the format that the program owner gives you. Okay. Like I said just now, for some university in Malaysia, they like, or some university in Malaysia, they like to have a six chapter thesis. You know, they separate the research methodology into two. One is research methodology. The second two, chapter number 4, is modeling. Okay, modeling of the work. So that, you know, that becomes 6 chapter in all. Okay, we come to a bit of motivation for everyone. I think on your left-hand side, I believe you guys know who this chap was. I will say was, because he's gone. All right. This is none other than Albert Einstein. This is actually his was. This is actually was his thesis, his PhD thesis. Of course, he did his thesis back in 1905, and also at the University of Zurich. All right, on the left hand side, I think everyone knows. On your right hand side, okay, on your right hand side, I would want to ask the audience if you know this guy. Who is this guy? Maybe we can do some interaction now. Anyone? You can see his name there. This guitarist, his name, his full name is with the surname and all, is Brian Harold May. You know, we call him. You know, the world call him Brian May. Brian May. He is and still is a guitarist of the Queens. You know who is the Queen? The Queen is the British rock band. I think some of you may not know the band name, okay, but then you know the song. The song is We Will Rock You. Those are the song by Queens. And also, wait, let me think. Sorry, my child, Mariam. And also, We Are the Champion, my friend. Okay, these are the song by Queens. You know, Brian May is at the center of the music that the Queens brought, you know, in the 80s, 90s. Brian Harold May is a guitarist of Queen, and he was awarded a PhD in astrophysics. Okay, a survey of radial velocities in the zodiacal dust cloud. This is an astrophysics field. Just imagine he's being on tour, he's being on, you know, playing music and everything, and he got a PhD in astrophysics. What a guy! What a guy! All right. My motivation slide is just to tell you that, you know, postgraduate is for everyone, regardless of who you are, regardless if you are a very good student, or in this case, a very good scientist, you know, Albert Einstein, or if you are a guitarist, as long as you have two things. Okay, two things that you need to know. Number one, you need to have is one, perseverance. Number two is strong will. All these two that will see you through in your PhD, in your masters, or even in your life. Okay, like I said, your PhD is not for the smartest, it's not for the brightest only. It's for us, me including lah, me including. I wouldn't say myself as the smartest of even my siblings, but Allah given me perseverance, you know. So you have to do that. You have to have that to complete your master's PhD on whatever you're doing in your life. Some other motivation, I believe everyone knows this story. It's about a turtle and also rabbit. As things in life turns out, although the race is between two most contradicting species, it's a slower one that wins. Okay, it's slower. It is the slower turtle won race. Because in life this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is a marathon. The same like your PhD. The same like your masters. The same like your life. This is a marathon. You need to have perseverance and also strong will, like I said to you. In your studies, you might have errors in your laboratory, in your doing your work like a scientist on your down left here. After all the work you did, then your result won't happen, or your experiment won't happen because of some error somewhere, nothing to do with you maybe. But you have to persevere. You have to persevere. You have to do again. You have to rise back and try again. All right. On your right, on your top, just imagine this is you with your thesis, and there are a lot of hurdles, or a lot of people between you and your PhD on your lonely road to your PhD. They're not going to harm you, but then you have to tackle yourself through. You have to navigate yourself to a very challenging route, right? And if I fall, I rise back up, and I fail and I try again. So please, for your study, you need to have a very good perseverance and also very good strong will. Okay, we go to myth number one. Okay, this is I would like to dig deep a bit on here onwards. Okay, myth number one: ticks mean more. Most of the students would like to see the other students' thesis and say your thesis is quite thick. It's quite thick. That means you must be very good. Your work must be very good. These are the most common misconception among students, that thicker thesis means better. Okay, or if you see your thesis thick, then you somehow have a very good feeling about your thesis because it's thick. It's not about your thesis, your content, but you feel this is your thick thesis, then you usually will say, wow, this is better. But like I said, size doesn't matter. The thickness never matter. All right, the thickness never matter. All we as examiner would have to do is to have a look at every inch of your thesis and to evaluate your thesis. All right. Although I say whether the thick or thin thesis means nothing. The widespread also, this widespread rule of thumb also somehow a bit disturbing. Usually for some students they say PhD is 150 to 250 pages, masters is 80 to 150 pages. It's not, this also rule of thumb also not something that I would recommend to all of you. All right. Like I said, it doesn't make any sense about the thickness. If the thick is thicker, it means more time to examine. So we as an examiner will start early. All right. This on your left hand side is usually this is the form that we need to fill. During our examination of the thesis. They are, I think 12 or 13. Usually most common forms, you have 13 or 14, 13 or 14 areas that you have to examine, the title of thesis, whether this is wrong or not, whether we want to change the title of thesis or not, and also research problems, research statement, whether enough or not, it's clear enough or not, something like that. Okay. On your right hand side is one example of a common site for from an examiner examining a thesis. You have a lot of markers, you have a lot of sticky notes. Try to print out any informations, any improvements, or any things that they need the candidate to highlight more. For your information, usually examiners were given, 1 or 2 months to check the thesis. For master's students, I believe it's 1 month. I received one from Terengganu a few days ago, and I'm due for a review within 4 weeks to 3 weeks. All right, for PhD, I think 2 months to have a look at thesis. Then only the school the graduate school will start to call you and everything. Okay, myth number two. Myth number two is writing need time or mood. This is another myth number two that we need to bust. We need to bust this myth. Usually the student will say, I cannot write because I need a mood. I need a mood room. I need something that incite me to start writing. I understand this so much. Last time I did this mistake. I would need to get time to indulge myself and try to provoke a remote to write and everything. So that's why I said to you, I would want to bring the future to you and do not repeat my bad mistake last time for my PhD. Okay, the common syndrome is that write and delete syndrome. This syndrome is very normal to students, but you need to avoid it. Write and delete means you write something and then you delete it because you think this is not tasty enough. Dalam bahasa Melayu is called tak sedap, ayat tak sedap, or the sentence is not clear enough, for example. So you write for a paragraph and then you delete the whole paragraph. And then you write and then you delete again, write and delete again. So the cycle comes write and delete, write and delete. So this syndrome is very dangerous. You need to know it early. You need to detect this early. If not, if you don't, manage this well, it will, this syndrome will go on and on and on, and eventually after semesters and semesters you will have nothing to show. Okay, the best bit is we don't realize it. We don't realize it. In the end of the semester we have nothing to show. So it's terrible. In Malay they call it time is the goal, masa itu emas. I disagree with this. I disagree with this proverb, wisdom word of time is gold, because gold is something that you can buy. But then I understand why the old people would invent this proverb, because during those time, gold is something that not all people, or it's impossible to buy gold. But now gold is something that you can buy. Maybe we have to revisit back the proverb. Time is maybe something that you cannot use. Time is something that you cannot buy. Okay, please, if you are a student studying for your master's PhD, please do not delete anything that you wrote. You just write and you leave it there, and then you revisit again. It is very different if you write based on something, rather than you write, with a blank piece of paper. If you write based on something, you have something written on your laptop, you have something written on your piece of a sheet of paper. It's different. You know, You can change, you can improve whatever been written, but you cannot improve something that's not written, right? I put some clock with a disappearing clock there on your top and right, and also something about the type and deleting it, type and deleting it. Myth number 3 is actually everyone would like to do first draft perfect. This is another myth that you need to get rid of. You need to get rid of, It's a draft anyway, The reason I point out this is that everyone's and most of people would want their first draft to be perfect, which is impossible. Which is impossible. That's the consequences of having this myth is that you would want to perfect everything. So if you want to perfect everything, then your submission will be delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. In the end of the day, in the end of the semester, I would say, you have nothing to show. You have nothing of submission. You have nothing that, to qualify your thesis for examination, for example. Yes, we all want to perfect things in life. But in thesis writing, there is no perfect thesis. The best thesis is a finished thesis. Remember that. All right. So your first draft may not be the best or the perfect one. Don't worry about that. Right? So if you want to get your thesis and paper done, you need to lead the writing process. You need to think about it and doing it. Okay. That's 3 myths, I would say. I've already done with the myth, for writing thesis writing. I give you some of the hacks. It's a tip, kind of tips. Okay, it's kind of tips of your thesis writing. Number 1, identify your thesis requirement. Some of the universities, they would like to go APA format. So usually it's come with the formats on this. Some people would want you to guarantee a number of publication before you can submit, right? C, writing is a process. This is a journey. A part of the journey is the end. Okay, a part of the journey is the end. Just remember that. So writing process has an end. You need to get everything done. Okay, define your thesis goal. It has to do with your objective and aim. Start with what you have, your scribble note. That's why I said to you, you need to write and leave it. Write, leave it. Do not write and delete. You write and leave it and you come back later, right? Do not wait for input for co-authors. Be proactive. Number 6 is most common practice by all. They would like to start with chapter number 1. I would say to you, number 1, leave it the last. Chapter number 1 usually is the easiest and the last. Don't do chapter number 1 first. Do chapter number 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come back to 1. Okay, 2, 3, 4, and 5 represent your sequence of your study. Literature review, and then you do your experiment. After you do your experiment, you biologically you do experiment and you get results, right? And then you do draw conclusions. Then number 1. Usually number 1, there's a good reason for this. Number 1, because some of the results may not be exactly or identically as your your objective. You have to readjust again the objective. That one depends on your supervisor, right? But then my point is, the sequence of the chapter must be of 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then only number 1. Forget about number 1 first. Okay, you can go on and on until number 10. I leave it to you. Okay, key points. We go to the key points. I would insist on the good self-explanatory abstract. Okay, abstract is an important document, a piece document that contains in your thesis. An abstract has to be self-explanatory. Okay, an abstract has to be self-explanatory, meaning if I read your abstract, then I know what inside your thesis. Okay, your thesis is the elaborations of your abstract. That's number 1. A lot of people would do an abstract not so clear. That means, you know, we don't have any idea. When we examine the thesis, we have no idea what this thesis is all about. So my advice would be produce an self-explanatory abstract. You know, what is self-explanatory abstract? Self-explanatory abstract is a structured format. You can have a look here. It contains 7 items like this: background, intro, problem statement, objective, methodology, result, discussion, and conclusion. Okay. You know, these are my style. Another thing is, you know, like I said, I forgot to mention before we start, this thesis is actually a very personal matter. It's a personal manifestation of your thesis, of your research. But then one common understanding is that a thesis must be understandable, because in your viva, in your examination, we are not deciding on your work. We are deciding on your thesis. Okay, what's in written there. So that's why I said to you, a viva is a session for us, the examiner, to examine your thesis. It's not your research. So make sure the thesis, although this is a very personal matter, a thesis has to be clear. Has to be clear. All right. I give you an example on the right hand side. This is, you know, the thesis I'm going to examine from Terengganu, sensorless dual axis solar tracker using an adaptive sun tracking algorithm. I read her abstract. It's a very good abstract. Then I decided to, you know, to share with you all. It has everything: background, problem statement, objective, methodology, result, discussion, and conclusion. So I know what this girl is doing. He's doing something like an dual axis solar tracker, meaning the tracker can move X, Y, or XZ, something like this. Dual tracker means 2 direction of tracking of the sun. You know, funny things that we were talking with Prof. Zin the other day about the variations of sunlight in Malaysia, and then I have this thesis with me. And this is another good abstract, you know, from one student: energy encryption for medium field of wireless port transfer system. Quite good. Okay, quite good. Very self-explanatory abstract. Okay, key point number 2, a very good table of content. I would strongly suggest you to have a very good look at a table of content. Okay, because at table of content, this is the fastest way, or I would say the earliest way lah. You know, you can detect it early, you know, whether the thesis is enough or not. When we draft the table of content, you have the chance to know what topics that you decide to be inside your thesis. So that's why I said to you, this is another way, the fastest way, ataupun or the earliest way lah. You want to know, you want to design the content of your thesis. Most people, they do the content first, then only they go back to the table of content, which is a reverse way and does not guarantee anything. But if you do table of content first, you agree that, you know, this subtopic is important to explain this and that, then you build up the table of content first. So my point is, build up table of content number 1. Okay, table of content first, then only you go to content. You agree with your supervisor, you decide with your co-supervisor. Okay, these are my suggestion of table of content, and then they will give input on you. All right. Example of table of content. You know, if you do a table of content first, you know the structure, the narrative of your thesis. You know, knowing narrative is another good important thing as well for your thesis. You need to ensure the consequence of another topic to another, how it relates, how that, you know, the tie doesn't break and everything. So I strongly suggest you, design your table of content. Design your table of content so that, you know, the narrative and then you will not miss out things that more important in your thesis content. Key number three. Key number three is that I would strongly suggest that you use short sentence. Okay, short sentence. I understand when a writer writes, when you are in the mood of writing, you will want to write and write and write and write, and not knowingly, you create a very long sentence. A very long sentence called a stringy sentence. You will want to get the sentence. One of the reason why the sentence become very long is there are too many and but and because and so, then only the sentence will become very long. Okay, what happened to a very long sentence? Okay, very long sentence can only two things, exclusively two things to you. One is grammatical error. You are prone to grammatical error. Okay, inclusive of native English lah. I would say, people who speak English every day, write English every day also, you will prone to grammatical error. Long sentence, right? And also, a long sentence, it will be hard to understand. So I suggest you my key points number 3 and the final one lah. I would say the final ones number 3 ni. The key point is to keep your sentence short and sweet. Short and sweet. Okay, short and sweet. But I said sweet meaning no flowery lah. I don't use flowery flowery language, flowery terms. I would imagine the same with art students. You cannot do flowery terminologies. And also be very certain. For example, I read thesis, they say a substantial amount of sand. For example, what is substantial? Just put it in. Why not put in a figure? Some thesis say a little of this, a little of that. What is a little? What a little is a little. Right? What a little is a little. I also do not know. But if you put it in percentage, in figure, in number, rakam, al-an, rakam wahid, rakam isna, rakam salasa, okay, I understand. Arba'a wa asar. Arba'a wa asar lah. My point is that you need to be clear, you need to be concise. I put here also advantages of short sentences, fewer mistakes, easier correction, of course, and easier corrections means you delete less, right? And also better readability lah. Your examiner will read your thesis even easier, something like that. Clarity through specificity. Just imagine technical writing must be clear. Avoid words like some, several, many, few, often, substantial, recently. You have to put a clarity in your writing. Short, make it short sentence, simple sentence, sweet sentence, and but not forget a clear sentence. A clear sentence, clear content. All right. On your right hand side is $1 with Venezuelan pesos. Just imagine if you want to see a bunch of notes. Dalam bahasa Melayunya orang panggil segenggam duit. Nah, so adakah segenggam duit, a bunch of notes has some meaning or something like that? No. So you have to be clear, okay? You have to be clear. Right, I think I'm done with 3 3 myths and also key points. Okay, 3 key points and also 3 myths in writing. Like I said to you, if you want to know more about art of, I'm not saying writing is an art, but I would say writing is something you need to do proper. If you want to know more A to Z, everything about writing, you have to join my RMDA class beginning on October. I'm teaching RMDA for this semester at the faculty. All right. Okay, these are the 17. Okay, these are 17 items that candidate usually do, but without they knowing it. Okay, we won't go 17 all of them, but maybe we try to pick one or two. Okay, try to discuss. Because I think we are near to 4 o'clock. I have only the 5 minutes give and take. Number one is too much thinking about GOT. GOT stands for graded on time. Do not think too much about graded on time. If it happens, then it happens. If it is not happening, don't lose out your spirit. In the end of the day, you have to finish your study. Remember, like Ayman say, a part of the journey is the end. Sorry, the end. A part of the journey is the end. Yeah, correct. Something like that. So a thesis study is a journey that has to has an end, right? We go to number 3. This is the common one, honeymoon period. For some people, most of my I had similar issues with my students before. Especially those who are under scholarships. They usually literature review session is honeymoon session. For some they like to go everywhere. During honeymoon session. During the time that we ask them to do literature review. I am okay with people enjoying themselves, but you have to do your work. You have to do your work. You have to perform. It doesn't matter to me. You want to sleep, anytime you want, but when I want it, I want it. All right. After completing your literature review, you should have at least one review paper. At least you should have one review paper. Okay. After completing your literature review, that should be. All right. Because what you doing for your review, you jot down, you write down everything. You have a complete review of existing research. You should have at least one review paper. I'm telling you, right? Number 6, student confirm all. This is a bad sign. Okay, supervisor is a guide. He or she is a guide. He does not or she does not make decision for you. You go and discuss with him, all right, or her. Number 7 is, like I said to you, most common one. Everyone start chapter number 1. It should be the other way around. Chapter 1 should be the last one. All right. Joining conferences is good. Joining conferences is good. You have to go and meet people. Joining conferences. Joining conferences publication is one thing, but conferences is meant for networking. Right. Number 12, my supervisor always told me this. You know your thesis well. Okay. This by knowing this, it gives me a different sense of comfort. Okay. Even the examiner does not know your thesis as well as you do, right? Number 14, the references should be 5 to 7 years old, okay, exception of theories. You need to have your references updated 5 to 7 years. Do anything that you need. You use EndNote, you use everything every reference, aids or tools. Make sure that the references should be recent. Number 15, Viva. During Viva, students would like to have many slides with many words. I've attended a Viva with 70 slides. 70. Homsa Arba'ah Sittah, Sittun. 70 slides. This is too much. All right. Thesis has to stand on mathematics alone. Number 16. This is another important matters. Your thesis, engineering ones especially, your thesis has to stand on its own. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Your thesis has to be able to be proved by mathematics. Okay, mathematics. So it cannot be proven by validations. And the last one, assist the examiner. Assist the examiner in reading the thesis. For example, for PhD thesis, people would say, where's your novelty? Where's your novelty? Why not, students, you put a novelty subchapter in chapter number 1. Novelty of the research, item 1.6, for example, you just state there. Assist the examiner in doing his or her job. All right. For example, every chapter you have a conclusion, something like this. Okay, I think that's all from me. Like I said to you, if you need to have the whole buffet, you need to know the whole thing, you need to come to my class at RMDA. I'm happy to discuss with you, or outside of this